It is so wonderful, wonderful to have you here today. And this is just so perfect. I want to remind again the participants that what we're doing it is creating an empowered relationship with money, which is leading us to money mastery. And there are three pillars of money: the spiritual, the emotional, and the practical. And I love that today our featured guests today um, are representing all three of those pillars. And so I'm really honored to have you here today. And before we get into your interview, I want to share a little bit more about you. Stephanie Oden is a thought leader, best-selling author, speaker, podcast host, and course creator for Introvert You. She supports introverted women ready to pivot, launch, or grow purpose-led businesses. Through the Introvert Achievers Network, she provides mentorships, systems, and a community that honors their wiring and helps them build income with intention, structured, soul aligned, and sustainable. So let's welcome and give some love for Stephanie Oden.
No, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you having me on, and it's an honor. And this summit is personal to me. It's near and dear. So it really is my honor to be here and share with all of the participants, with you and those that you serve.
Oh, beautiful. And it's so wonderful to have you and sharing your wisdom and expertise. So I'd love for you to start out telling us a little bit, or not a little bit, but telling us about how you became an expert in this area of working with introverts, and please share your big why story with us.
Yes, yes. My why goes back to me growing up in Georgia, and my mom somehow instinctively knew that if she sent me to my room as punishment, that would be like the best day ever, ever. So I don't know how she knew that. So punishment for me was like, I have to sit in the room with all these people, like seriously. And I didn't know that. I just knew that I was different. I was wired different and didn't really understand all the introvert, extrovert things. I know in my career, I had a successful career. I was a senior leader, but every year they would say, "Oh, you're doing great. You're meeting your metrics. Your team is excelling. But could you be a little bit more outgoing, AKA more extroverted?" Okay. And it really didn't hit me the full impact of how I was wired until I went on to be a career development director for a university and became certified in Myers-Briggs. And I was like, OMG, I'm home. I get it. I know how I'm wired. And as I reflect back and I transitioned over to entrepreneurship, I really got how people have been placed in buckets and categories.
Yeah.
And my why is simply I will help the person that I used to be with what I didn't have. That is my that is my overriding driving why.
Beautiful. And I love that. I love that. And you and I have had an extensive conversation about this. And for those of you uh, you are watching the interview here, if you haven't followed Stephanie, you want to make sure you follow her. We had an amazing conversation on her quiet impact
Quiet Impact
Wide
Podcast.
Impact podcast about this very subject because, I can so relate to that. Growing up, I always felt different. Honestly, I thought I was born into the wrong family because I was like anybody in my family, and I considered myself, at the time, I thought I was really shy, this shy little girl.
Mhm.
However, I was very courageous, and I always did a lot of things outside of my comfort zone because I felt that was the way that I needed to grow. But I never labeled myself as an introvert. And after learning more about what it means and having the conversation with you, because an introvert doesn't mean shy,
No,
right? It doesn't mean shy.
no,
And so I had this epiphany. I'm like, then I embraced, yes, I'm an introvert, but an introvert with a message. So tell us about the difference between being an introvert and being shy.
absolutely. So an introvert really comes down to how we replenish our energy source
Mhm.
and how we're wired and how our brain is depleted very quickly when we're in environments that take a lot of being out there, for lack of, no fancy words, just being out there, extremely
Yeah.
draining. Being shy is more of a timid place where possibly you don't like. I don't even really like the word shy, honestly, because it's people. It puts people in a place where they don't feel like they can grow and expand and
Mhm.
go through personal development and really use their skill set. So yes, I am. There are times when I can be more quiet, and people will confuse that. Oh, you're just really shy. But some people really do have issues with being in crowds. And you know what? It's okay. It really is okay. The extroverts, on the other hand, they tend to thrive. I mean, you get them out there and they are just, they are lit up by being in large crowds and environments, and that really energizes them. And you know what? I like them too. They're okay.
Yeah, that the world needs all of us, right?
Yes, absolutely. And for my introverts, one of the secrets I'll tell you, get you some extroverted friends, okay? Get you some that's the top secret to being in this game we're in. Get you some good extrovert friends. Life will be better with that.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. And so that leads us to my next question. Tell us how by the way, for those of you that are watching, tell us if this resonates with you. Are you and how being an introvert is this? And it really does. So tell us a little bit about how you um, support your clients.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I noticed as I was, we attract who we are. And I noticed I was attracting more and more clients that were more of an introvert, and they had success. They were increasing their reach, their business was growing, they were having more revenue. But when they came to me, they were stuck.
Mm,
They didn't quite understand who they were. And that's where I step in to help them figure out who they are, really, what are their strengths, how are they unique, and working with business owners and leaders to help them really get to that next level, and who they are and who they want to be, and helping them find their message. Like, what is your message? What is your voice? And once they figure out what their voice is, they it's almost like they catapult, like they're on that runway chugging along. And once they figure out what their voice is and accept how they're wired, they they really do become unstoppable.
beautiful. I love that. Yeah, the key is to understand how we're wired and embrace it,
Hmm.
right?
It
Embrace it.
is. It is. Absolutely. It is.
Yes. You tell us about your session, your title and the session title, and give us a description of your session.
Absolutely. My session title is Permission to Pivot with Courage and Grace. And I created the session to speak to both introverts and extroverts and the gambit in between. And really it's geared toward women in midlife that are wanting to step into being an entrepreneur, have been successful in other areas of their life, but it's all of a sudden they've feel like they need permission or they find themselves lacking courage and they're beating themselves up because they feel like, well, I should be courageous. And that's what my session is about, to really give them some tangible, implementable things that they can do to really shift to being more courageous. Because courage does come before confidence when you're doing something you've never done before.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Courage comes before confidence. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, and you also have a special gift, a free gift. So tell us about that.
Absolutely, and thank you for letting me offer what, for my heart. And what I'm offering is a guide to, now that we've started to be a little bit more courageous, we need a next step, right? Because we're achieving women. We need next steps. And sometimes the next step can help you get through the current step. So I have a guide. It's called Get Your Mind on Your Side, that really moves you once you've started to be more courageous. Now, here's some things that you can do to actually help you to start building your confidence. And that's what that guide is about.
Beautiful, beautiful. So if you haven't watched Stephanie's session, her replay, along with all of the other replays, are pinned to the featured section, but they're
Mhm.
also categorized by category, by topic category inside the guide section. So, which begins at guide number 6. So, you definitely want to watch Stephanie's session. And you definitely want to go ahead and download her session and not her session, but her free gift. And I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and for those of you that are watching live or when you those of you that are watching the replay, tell me, tell us what if you're an introvert or not, and what is resonating with you from our conversation, my conversation with Stephanie. And I was trying to pull up the comments, but unfortunately, and I did have a separate window and everything, but I can't see them just yet. So please go ahead and put your comments um, in in um, in the comment section below. And I have one more question for you before I let you go. I want to recognize or our next speaker that's coming up, Shar Stackle.
She's good.
And, we talked about spiritual, emotional, and practical. Shar is all about the practical. We're going to talk about how to stay in your zone of genius. She learned all of these things about, the dealing with the spiritual side, the mindset. And so let's take inspired action. And that's what we're going to talk about with Shar. So to wrap up, Stephanie, tell us, give us your final words of wisdom in what the participants can do, one thing that they can do to help them move forward.
Absolutely. The one thing I will recommend is get a coach.
Mm,
Get a coach before you think you're ready. I know it sounds hypey. I know it seems like you may not feel like you can, but when you get a coach, one of the things you'll realize that you're not behind, you're becoming. And that in itself is an act of courage. That's what I would encourage, that one thing that I would tell you to do from this, from my talk, from being in this group. That's what I would share with you.
absolutely. I love that. I love that. It's so important to get the get support, get the mentorship, get the accountability. Because like you said, then we realize we are not behind. We're not alone. We're not the only ones that feel that way, right?
Right, right. That's so important. So important because this journey can be a lonely journey when we sit across from computer screens and things like that, and we think we're alone, we think we're doing it wrong, and really I don't want to downplay that mentorship. Like that is absolutely critical for success. Success and sanity, by the way.
Oh,
Success and sanity.
yes. I love that. And there's so much opportunity now versus years ago. I don't know about you, but when I started this journey, um, there weren't
Nope.
there weren't coaches or men.
No.
I had mentors, but they were all men.
They were men.
I loved them, but
Absolutely.
financial services industry. But you know, men communicate differently, and I love
Absolutely.
them. They supported me. But it's not the same.
Absolutely. I agree with you 1000%. So thank you. Thank you. Please, please drop in the comments, your thoughts on if I've shared something with you that's been helpful, and go watch the summit. There's some good nuggets in there. I've been learning things myself.
Absolutely. And thank you. I'm so honored to have you share your wisdom and your expertise on the Women's Money Power Summit. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Stephanie